Last week we talked about one branch of our Unitarian Universalist heritage. Specifically, we talked a lot about Puritans, who are considered to be on the Unitarian side of our spiritual family tree. Now, to clarify, the Puritans were not Unitarians, but many of their congregations became Unitarian over the span of a handful of generations. Today, we're going to explore a little bit of our Universalist heritage, so Unitarian, Universalist, the Universalist side of the house. Not a lot, I promise. We're not going to do a full history lesson today, but if you want one, I will be at coffee hour, just so you know. All right, so in 1961, the Unitarians and the Universalists merged to form the Unitarian Universalist Association. Both were liberal Christian denominations. I jokingly like to refer to the merger as the theological Thunderdome, where two Christian denominations entered and no Christian denominations left. We are not a Christian denomination, but we come from two Christian denominations, and it's important to occasionally examine those roots. To put it very briefly, the Unitarians believed in the unity of God versus the Trinity. The Universalists believed in universal salvation, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Specifically, American Universalists believed that salvation had been won for all people across all space and time through the death and resurrection of Jesus. The Universalists believed that in the 3 days between his death and resurrection, Jesus had gone to hell and he had redeemed all souls there and then closed hell permanently. And to their thinking, everyone who had ever existed anywhere was going to heaven as a result of that. It was a do not pass go, but do collect $200 kind of a situation. The historical Universalists believed that through universal salvation, God's work... Oh, I missed your song, didn't you? That's why you guys are all staring at me. Yeah, we'll do it after. I'm sorry. I got a little flustered. Okay, you know what we're going to do? We might take a pause because I don't give people a chance to think, and then we'll do the song, and then we'll come back. Not now, but in a little bit. I'm sorry. Have you guys ever been new in a job? It's wild. Okay, so anyways, historical Universalists believe that through universal salvation, God's work in human history was complete. It was done. God had done God's part, and now it was humanity's obligation to respond by building the kingdom of heaven on earth. They believed that social problems like addiction, poverty, squalor, disease, violence, that is what caused people to sin in response to a bad societal situation. They insisted that society must be transformed to give everyone a level playing field and reach their full potential, and that was the kingdom of heaven. Because of that, they were largely responsible for the development of public schools, the reformation of mental hospitals and prisons. They led sanitation drives. They were involved in abolition, women's suffrage, and bless their hearts, they really tried to do a good thing with prohibition. Their goal of creating heaven on earth through tireless efforts to create peace and equality is probably something that you can recognize in our congregation. Modern UUs don't often use the terms kingdom of heaven or heaven on earth, but we do like to say beloved community. And it's the same thing in different packaging that's more inclusive, right? It's the same concept that we're just trying to get to all the time. So we were talking about Universalists, and a lot has happened between the rise of American Universalism, so that was the late 18th century, and then onward. But a lot has happened between then and now, and we're going to skip over that evolution in order to focus on the consideration of the lingering impacts of American Christian Universalism on modern Unitarian Universalism. What are the strains of that Universalist doctrine that still inform our understanding of the world and our purpose in it? At its most basic element, Universalism is the belief that we all share a common origin and a common destiny. Although our language for describing our common origin and our common destiny have changed over the centuries, we have maintained this concept at our core. We just call it interdependence, right? They would have said, all children of God, all going to heaven. We don't quite use that language. We might individually, but Unitarian Universalism as a whole doesn't really use that language so much anymore, but we do understand ourselves to be interdependent. There are many poetic things that can be said about sharing a common origin. For example, we all share the experience of birth. Many of us are raised in families, and nationally and locally, we share a cultural context. In a more literal sense, through the process of evolution, we all share a common genetic heritage. If we continue to search back even further, we have a common ancestry with all living things, at least that we know of on this planet so far. Life developed, as we understand it, from a single origin. It has continued to develop, and we are a part of that development. We are part of that common origin moving to a common destiny. And again, poetically, we might think of our common destiny as being a single garment, recalling the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. By the way, did you know that he almost became a UU when he was in divinity school in Boston? That's why a lot of his turns of phrase resonate with us, including his frequent use of the phrase, beloved community. He spoke of our mutual destiny as a single garment in which we are all tied. Now, scientifically speaking, it seems that we might be on track for different destinies, that our diversities will continue to increase, taking us further apart from each other and all life. I suppose that a case might be made that we may not share a common destiny due to the rise of, commercial space travel or the continued hoarding of power and wealth that allows some to thrive while others perish. I suspect, however, that whatever interventions are aimed at separating the fortunate few from the many will eventually fail. What happens to one happens to us all in ways that we don't fully understand. And I believe that will continue to keep us tied in that one garment. When Unitarian Universalists consider the question of ultimate victory, as in what would it be like if we win, or what it would be like if we can get it right, the images we concoct are still very similar to what our Universalist forebears had in mind. It's still beloved community, a place of justice, of wholeness, a place without conflict, without poverty, addiction, crime, hunger, so on. A place where everyone has what they need and they can dwell together in peace. In modern Unitarian Universalism, we are still striving to create beloved community that includes everyone, universally. Our Universalist forebears believed in a slightly unnerving concept of everyone from every place and every being and every time being in heaven, which is culturally chauvinistic, but well-intentioned. It is fair to say that we still believe that everyone, however, is still needed on this project of a shared future. We believe that the beloved community will exist when all people are warmly welcomed and engaged. We have an opt-in feature that our Universalist forebears did not. We want everyone to opt in. And we want to do the work to be truly welcoming for when they do. We believe truly that everyone could find a place here. We are working to bring about our dream of the beloved community, and we still believe that we can't get there unless we all get there. A future world made fair and whole cannot exist if anyone has been excluded from that world. It's just not how it works. When the world is so deeply troubled as it is now, it might feel perhaps frivolous to spend time thinking about the world made fair, or what our end goal is for Unitarian Universalism, or maybe it feels like an amazing, much-needed escape, a way of breaking up the constant doom scroll that is our modern lives. We are a people who simultaneously live in two different timelines. A goal of a world made fair is not meant as an idle diversion for UUs, but it is meant to be both a goal and a map for how to get there. We're meant to be in a now and then mode of thinking. Now it's like this, but we want it to be like that, And if we want to get from here to there, then we have to do X, Y, Z. The idea of a world made fair is a thought experiment that guides our actions, and it gives us hope. We need that. It is easy to be lost to despair these days. I suspect that it has always been easy to be lost to despair. The reason that humans keep coming up with these elaborate ideas of what the next world could be or what the world transformed might be like is that the world has always been a hard place for somebody. We need ideas of what things could be like if we did get it right and guide us and motivate us. The truth is, the hard truth is, there is no single generation of humanity that will ever get it right. We can't. That's not a bad thing, though. We can't do it ourselves because building beloved community requires everyone across all space and time. It is good to need others. We can't do it by ourselves because, well, first, people living in a specific space and time are beholden to the mores and the understandings of their cultural lenses. I think those Unitarians, not the Unitarians, but them too, but the Universalists really thought that they had this generous idea that everyone was going to go to white people heaven in the 18th century, and it's just not, right? Could you, the audacity that they thought that everyone would want to go to their idea of heaven. We are all stuck in our own cultural context. We can name any number of things that our forebears did that we find deplorable, and I shudder to think how future generations will judge us when the time comes. We can only do the best that we can with the information and the cultural lenses that we have. Second, we can't get it right because we cannot possibly predict the challenges that future generations will face that will complicate and inform how they pursue a world made fair. It is impossible for one generation to get it right for the next generation's challenges and ideals. And finally, it is the nature of humanity to center power around dominant identities, leaving less statistically strong groups at the edges of power. We've always done it. We always will. It's part of our nature. Therefore, it is the work of liberal religion to continue pushing out those margins. This is what gives us a job. This is what keeps us in business. As soon as we figure out how to include a group of people and we extend the center of power, we discover that those margins are still there, and what do you know? There are still people at those margins. So we work to extend power to those people, and then the process begins again. There is no end to this work. We want to draw the circle wide enough to include everyone, and yet history has shown that we cannot. But that is still the goal, and it calls us ever forward. We will never solve the equation of how to be the beloved community where everyone is included and loved because our understanding is so limited and our lives are so short. And so we need everyone in on this project universally to help us understand where we have fallen short and to help us grow. We need one another in ways that are profound and mysterious. We must build off the work of past generations, and then we have to send it forward to the next. Our job is to do our part to push the margins as much as we can today and to not fall into despair that we cannot complete the task, but to rejoice in knowing that we can't complete the task because that's what keeps us held together. We are not responsible for doing this work by ourselves alone, but we are responsible for doing our part. We take our place in the long line of those who have come before, and we do our best to prepare those who will come after us. And in this way, we are interdependent with all people across all space and time. And we hold hope close, and we let love guide us like the North Star. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.